going to move into our conversation, our Grace on Fire conversation back and forth with uh, myself and you, Chef Bryan Woolley.
Hmm.
Did you come up with any ideas while you were waiting for a conversation?
Well, I want to know what your favorite food is.
Oh, I have so many. Oh, gosh, my favorite food. Let me think about it right now. If I could have, it kind of changes from day to day because I'm in different, I usually eat kind of what I'm in the mood for.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
So I'll ask you one other question while you're thinking about what is your least favorite food?
Oh, yikes. Um, my least favorite food, probably lima beans, just because of the
Oh,
texture. I don't like the mushiness inside of the lima beans. I never
oh,
had
well, see,
as
yeah,
a kid.
yeah.
But
That's
that's probably maybe one of my least favorite. And I like spicy things. I like I'm it's not gonna I love salmon. Like whenever I go to
hmm
a restaurant, I order salmon.
hmm
Almost just so often. I just love I would say that's my favorite. Salmon. Yeah, wild caught.
I like
Always the
salmon, yeah.
wild caught, of course.
Hmm.
I just think salmon is so delicious. I could eat it every day, I think, and I would be
Hmm.
not wanting for anything. Just maybe some potato chips on the side or some nice hot French fries on the side.
Amen to that. I
Some
do love potato
vegetables.
chips.
Oh, potato. I know that's what first popped in my mind, but I was too embarrassed to say. I do
Oh,
love
don't be
potato
embarrassed.
chips.
Don't be embarrassed.
Make
I
some
think
salmon with some
my
chips. Fish and chips.
yeah, my vice is chips and salsa. So
Yeah, my grandmother actually used to make fish and chips by scratch. So
oh
she,
yeah,
peel the
yeah.
potatoes, fry them, and fry the
Hmm.
fish, and she'd do it in a little skillet, like same thing on the countertop. And sometimes we'd take it to the beach. She'd do fried
Hmm.
chicken too. She did fried chicken,
Okay.
take that to the beach too. And she did a lot of
Yeah.
fish and chips. She was from England,
Hmm.
so fish and chips and potatoes, and it was very sad to have her fish and
Hmm.
potatoes. And grandmas are good cooks.
Yes, they are. Mine was at least.
We know yours were because it has inspired you for your
It
favorite
has.
food.
It has.
Yes. Yes. Hey, how about you share some of the food from some of the other cultures you've traveled to? And
Sure.
yeah.
Well, that's always so interesting because, in Czech Republic, the dumplings are amazing. And so if you go there, you've got to have the dumplings and they're very known for their beers. And so if you're a beer drinker, you'll enjoy that. If not, I would suggest tasting some at least so that you can get an idea. I mean, they're very famous for them and their dumplings. And then you move more into like Japan, there's a lot of fish, a lot of seafood, which I love. And so that was very enjoyable to me. And many, many things done with rice. And so that was interesting to me because they didn't grow wheat. That was a European thing. And so most of their
Mhm.
culture stemmed around rice. And then you move up into the Scandinavian areas to where you get a lot of potatoes, a lot of milk products, and so a lot of cream-based or milk-based soups and sauces that go with things over that. And then I always, strong heritage of England, and I always kind of joke there and say, oh, they just boil everything. So you have a lot of boiled food in
Yeah.
England, up in that area, boiled potatoes and vegetables and meats, even for
Eggs.
that matter. Eggs, that is very true. And then you get into, Italy, very fresh ingredients of tomatoes and
Mm.
tomato-based sauces and noodles, which are actually dumplings also. And so they're just a different type of dumpling. And so a lot of variations on those. And then down into South America, a lot with corn. And so you have a lot
Mm.
of flavors of corn puddings and different
Mm.
dishes that are made with corn, from cakes to savory items, which are fun and delicious. And of course, everywhere you go, they generally will have beef or salmon also.
Mhm.
a lot of chicken for that matter, and salads that go along with that. It's just what they serve next with them. That may be different in Brazil, for example. It's all rice and beans with everything. And so you can have chicken and a green salad, but you always have rice and beans that are served with them also. And so it's fun to see the variation of the different foods, and remember that food is the common denominator of humanity. We all have to eat to live, and so everybody eats, and how they do it is kind of different. When you get into Ethiopia and some of those African countries, what's really fun are the flatbreads, the variations of flatbreads, because then they actually use those as utensils to pick up the various foods that they're eating. And so I find that to be very fun, because I loved food. I mean, even as a kid, we loved working, touching things with our hands
Oh,
and everything.
yeah.
So you tear off a piece of bread and you reach over and you use the bread to grab something, and you eat it and enjoy it in family style with friends around the table. And so it's really fun. And a lot of people don't realize that state dinners here in America were created and started to open negotiations with other countries, because when you sit down to eat, you generally will talk and visit. And that's one of those fun little facts that maybe people didn't know. And another fun fact with Japanese food is it's always served cut up when it comes to you. And the reason for that is everybody had to leave their swords before they went into the dinner hall, so to speak. So they didn't have any way to cut it. They didn't have knives. And so it would always come cut, pre-cut for you to just eat. And so it's just the cultures and the food are all the same ingredients for the most part. You've got potatoes, you've got meat, you've got some type of vegetable on the side, but the way that it's prepared definitely reflects the area that you are traveling to. And it's just fun to see everything. Even here in America, you experience different foods to where you move more towards the coastal regions, and you have a lot of seafood options that maybe you wouldn't have more inside, internally in the United States. But internally, you have a lot of corn and wheat and dairy that maybe you don't have on the coastal areas. I mean, now with the way that we trade in economics and that, you can get anything anywhere for that matter. But you start to really notice though that what's traditional is generally a favorite of the locals or the specialty of the chef. And that really kind of triggers off the fun adventures of food and everything it has to offer. So those are some of the fun ways that people will experience foods when they travel around. And Europe is very hoity-toity with utensils and properness and delicious baked goods and pastries and cream sauces and sauces in general. So
you're
that's kind of
making
what
me
I
want
have
to
noticed.
travel.
Well, I'm already there. I'd love to be traveling right now, but
Oh yeah,
can't travel right now.
not now, but soon, And
Yeah.
when we do, I
Yeah.
know for me, when I go, I'm from back east, and I grew up on the coast, and yeah, there's nothing like going and getting some seafood when it's been just right out of the ocean,
Oh, there's that fresh.
fresh caught that day.
Yeah.
It's not the same when you take it out of a frozen package or
No, it's not.
not. And it's like what you were saying about with Italy, the farm to table, and with Japan, where they'll go and they'll get that rice or dig that potato right out of the ground and then serve it, and the taste is better. It's better
it's
when it's
much better.
fresh. It's fresh and right out of the ground.
Much
That
better.
whole farm to table movement, local and fresh, is I think it's healthier too. It's much healthier.
Oh, it's much healthier. But the one thing, and I'll tell you, Grace, that's kind of frustrating is people have to remember the farm to table movement is dependent on where you live. For example, we're here in Salt Lake City. We have great growing season about 4 or 5 months out of the year. the rest of the ground's frozen. So we don't grow things in the ground. And so we have to take advantage during those months of the freshness of the food, the abundance that we enjoy here. And we're kind of like Germany, you know, we have to preserve our food for the winter.
So true. So true. Yeah. And preserve it in the best way that we can so that it keeps its nutrients and it keeps its taste. And I think we do a pretty good job of that. Nothing like fresh, but we do a good job. And fortunate for those cultures that it is moderate year round and they can grow year round 365 days a year and just have their gardens in their backyard.
Wouldn't that just be wonderful?
Oh yeah.
I would love it, at least.
I would love it. Or either that or, you know, we're here in the north and, you know, we have 6 months where we can garden and growing season, and then we can fly south somewhere tropical and beautiful for the cold months.
It's true. It's true.
That's what the birds do. They're pretty smart.
Yes, it is true. Yeah, maybe we should take a clue from them.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I do love the 4 seasons. I love spring, summer, fall, and winter. I love that change. I don't know how I would do in an area that it didn't have those 4 seasons. I do love those.
I do love the change too, but I've noticed, I have noticed that winter gets less and less desirable.
Okay, I will give you that one because I've noticed me that way too.
I mean, I love winter around like Christmas, December, maybe even half of January. I'm really into it and can snowshoe. And then I'm ready to fly south with the birds to somewhere tropical and beautiful and open my windows and my doors and smell the fresh air and walk outside with no jacket. I'm an outdoor person. As you can see, I'll be outside till it starts freezing out.
Well, that's the thing to do. I have to say I do enjoy winter through pretty much December. January, February, March, I start getting a little tired. It's like, okay, now it's just cold. There's nothing really to look forward to. You know, Christmas, you're all excited for it. Thanksgiving, you're excited for it. But then, you know, after Christmas, after New Year's, it's just kind of like the drudgery of winter.
After about mid-January is when I'm starting to go like, oh boy. That's when I fly down to Costa Rica. But I don't know about this year. I'm hoping I wasn't able to last year, but I'm hoping for this year.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. Well, this has been a magnificent conversation about food and cultures, and I thank you so much, Bryan, for this beautiful conversation.
I feel like I've talked your ear off. You know, you get me started about food, and I just don't hush up at all.
Well, don't. We love hearing you. You're a chef, a master chef, a TV celebrity chef, and we want to hear what you have to say. And I'm so fascinated by all that you've learned through your years, 30 years on TV cooking. And all the cultures you visited and the foods that you've experimented with and tried. It's just, I'm inspired. I am inspired by you, Bryan.
Thank
Bryan
you so
Woolley.
much.
Yes, thank you for joining us on Grace on Fire Conversation.
Well, it's been on fire. How's that?
Yes, we keep it on fire.